Alright guys, welcome to my ultimate gear progression guide for 2026. Today, we just went through the Olvia Academy and familiarized ourselves a little bit. So I have updated this guide for the Olvia Academy on all the new stuff that came with it. So the way we're going to structure this guide is we're going to start from the very beginning, all the way at seasonal, all the way to the end game. It's not really going to be directed around what you're going to buy next, like buy this, because like prices do fluctuate and stuff. And there are some considerations you have to take into account. So this is more going to be giving you all the knowledge you need to know in order to make those decisions. So we had to use 3 full presets in Garmoth.com because it only limits us to 20 pages on each one. So this is going to be a pretty long guide. If you're watching this on YouTube in the future, use the chapters and the timestamps down below in the description, so you can hop around where you need to be. So let's kick things off. The first thing we're going to be doing is talking about the different way I'm structuring this. So I like to call each section a gate. So like gate 0, you're just starting the game, that's one, and then you'll go through the first gate, then the second gate, the third gate. So that's how I like to split it up. And it's like different eras of your progression. So it's like there's different type of progression activities, considerations you're taking into account and going through the game. In the beginning, it's not a straight up grind. It's more you traversing through the game, familiarizing yourself with the different ins and outs. And this game gives you a lot of free stuff. And they've added so many stuff over the years that it's gotten really bloated. Because of that bloat, there is required a lot of additional information I need to teach you guys before we're even going into like, hey, buy this next, buy this next. So with that being said, this is going to be a pretty long guide. Once again, use the timestamps down below. Let's get started here. So first thing is gate 0. You are a Tuvala Timmy. That means you are making your first character, and of course we recommend you to start on the seasonal server. In the seasonal server, you have a different set of gear called a Tuvala gear, and that is going to be your primary means of progression all the way through the seasonal experience. As you complete the season pass and finally at the last step you can graduate. After you graduate, that's when you can start equipping other gear and stuff. But while you're on the seasonal server, you're only going to be using Tuvala gear. Once upon a time there used to be something called Naru gear, which has been phased out, and we'd also consider using quest gear, which I no longer recommend you wasting time with that. And if you're a brand new player, you're going to just be going through this main story quest line, and you're going to be hitting your comma button on your keyboard, talking to the Black Spirit and progressing through the quest line there. The Black Spirit's going to give you all the material you need in order to get your Tuvala gear enhanced. So as you progress through the season pass and as you progress through the Black Spirit quest, you're going to be getting all the materials that's going to be able to carry you through enhancing all your Tuvala gear. But now, if you're a veteran player or someone who's already played this game and have a little bit of resources on your account, you can use that to your advantage. You can literally go to the blacksmith in Velia or any town, and while you're on a seasonal server, you can, on your seasonal character, you can go and buy all the seasonal gear from the NPC. So in order to repair the gear, you can just buy an infinite amount through the NPC. It's very cheap. And in order to enhance your gear for your accessories, you can just buy an infinite amount there. So it's very easy to get your gear to full pen. You don't want to get it all the way to full pen right off the rip. I'm going to explain how you're going to progress the Tuvala gear. But for example, on one of my characters at level 1, I walked her to Velia. She turned level 2 by the time she got there. And I was able to get her full pen Tuvala right there in town without even having to do anything. But if you're a new player, follow through the main story quest, follow what the Black Spirit's telling you, and it'll guide you through the different areas in the map and give you enough resources such as time-filled fragments, which is used to like repair these gear, black stones, which is used to enhance the gear, all the armors and weapons, and also even concentrated magical black stones, so magical black stones, which are going to be used to enhance your gear from pry level to pen. So the enhancement in BDO, it goes from plus base at 0 all the way to plus 15, and then all the way to plus 20, which is called pry, duo, try, tet, and pen in their nomenclature. So the first thing you're going to do, once you do start acquiring your Tuvala gear, you can enhance everything to try for free. So essentially it's just a straight goal. Like there is some downgrading or failures and stuff in not downgrading, but failures for your armors and weapons until plus 15, but it's really easy. They made it so cheap and really high success rate. You barely need to use fail stacks. So I just ran it through, and once you get to pry, you immediately can tap it to try without any failures. So once again, concentrated magical black gems are going to be used for enhancing from pry to pen, and you can use those to get them to try. For your accessories, you just slam other base level accessories into them through the enhancement window, and you can get them to try immediately. Your artifacts, you can get these from talking to your Black Spirit. You'll get a monster AP artifact and a monster DR artifact immediately. So from the Black Spirit, and you can just put some Rage Lightstones in all of the slots. So 4 Rage Lightstones, they're really cheap, and they'll just give you some base AP to get started with. For your Alchemy Stone, sometimes these are not available on the market, these Destruction Spirit Stones. You could also use these Takara Spirit Stones. They tend to give those to you in seasonal server. So if you get those, you can use those instead and just use it at will. It's okay if it runs out, you can't repair it, but you won't need it later. So just use it while you have it available, and it's a good upgrade for you. So this is where you're going to basically start out. This is the starting point in the baseline. In terms of getting your second monster AP artifact, once you graduate from seasonals, you'll be doing the Olvia Academy, and the Olvia Academy is going to give you 2 extra these monster AP artifacts. So you'll be able to have 2 of them without having to go hunt for those. So how do you upgrade from Tuvala to me to the next part? So here, I'm not taking you all the way to pen on all the gears, because there are some free items that you get in the seasonal server from the seasonal pass, as well as just leveling up on the seasonal server on your seasonal character, rewarded through the seasonal pass, that it's going to fill out the blanks you see here. So weapons and armors, most of them you can take straight to pen. I think you get the fail stacks from doing the seasonal pass, and following through your Black Spirits quest, you'll get the materials to enhance. So taking everything to pen is pretty good, except leave 1 item at Tet for your armors and weapons. So your 3 weapons, take it to pen. Your other 3 armor pieces, take them to pen, but leave 1 at Tet, because you get a stone on your seasonal pass, which you're going to be using. Did I put the name here? No, I didn't. You're going to be using that stone in order to guarantee enhance 1 weapon or armor from Tet to pen, and you'll get the same stone, same type of stone for accessories as well. So one of your accessories you're going to take from Tet to pen for free. So that for that reason, you'll keep 1 armor piece at Tet and 1 accessory piece at Tet. Okay, and the other accessories you can get to other 1 ring, necklace, and belt you'll take to pen whenever you can, enhance it, and then keep the other 2 pieces here, 1 ring and 1 earring at try, because you're going to get a free pen earring and a pen ring as you go through the seasonal pass as you're leveling up your character. So for that reason, we're going to leave, once again, 1 earring and 1 and your helmet at Tet, and then 1 earring and 1 ring at try. So that's the most efficient route to go by. They're giving you all this free stuff. Let's use it, right? So then we go to the final part. How does it look? We'll have our 2 seasonal, hopefully you'll have your second AP artifact. If you don't worry. As soon as you're out of seasonal, you can go to Olvia Academy, and as you progress through the combat route there, you'll get your second monster AP artifact. But if you did get it, great. But once you're done with the seasonal pass, this is what it's going to look like. You're going to have all your Tuvala weapons, armors, and accessories at pen. So that pretty much concludes gate 0. That means you're on the road. You just started your journey, and now you're at your first gate. That is going to be graduating from season. So as you graduate from the seasonal, how does it look? There's a lot of free stuff that you're going to get. You know, one of the most popular things you're going to hear about is the free pen Blackstars. Once upon a time, a pen Blackstar used to be the best weapon. It used to be the best weapon. Now they're sovereign. So you need multiple pen Blackstars in order to unlock a sovereign weapon. The game gives you a total of 4 pen Blackstars really easily. I wouldn't say directly free. You know, one of them you get for free. Let's go through the different means of getting the pen Blackstars. The first one is your Tuvala gear. So once you graduate from season, if you talk to your Black Spirit, there's a leveling aid, Fugar's aid quest, and then that'll take you to Fugar, and they'll let you start the deck enhancements for 1 weapon, 1 armor, and 1 accessory. So by enhancing your Tuvala weapon from pen to deck, you'll be able to exchange the weapon for a pen Blackstar selection box. It can be any weapon. It doesn't have to be the same weapon you're trying to go for, but ideally you want to select the same weapon you're going for, right? So if you're a succession class, you'll want to go with the succession. Your main hand weapon, if you're an awakening class, you want to go for your awakening weapon. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. But basically, your deck weapon will turn into a pen Blackstar. Your deck accessory will turn into a Tet Kharazad. And your deck armor will turn into a Slumbering Origin armor. Now, this isn't free. It does take fail stacks to enhance all the way to deck. It does cost cron stones. So this isn't something you're expected to do right off the rip after you graduate, but you should should be informed of it. So as you see here, I have a pen Capotia necklace here. So the first reward I recommend getting from seasonal as you are leaving the season. So very early on your season pass, you get the reward to turn into Fugar and select one of the rewards there for graduation. I recommend getting the pen Capotia necklace immediately. And we'll talk about how to fill out the other pen Capotia accessories for your different slots here. But the first one, I recommend the necklace to start off. So let's go to the next one here. So we're going to talk about the all the different ways to get the pen Blackstar. I thought I had more notes here, man. Guess not. So let's go over this. I should remember everything. So as you graduate and as you complete the requirements of the game. So I'm sure I put it here somewhere. Was it here that I put it? Right. So some of these have a different requirements. So in your Y tab, once you graduate, you're going to have some free items. There's going to be a Tet Blackstar and a pen Blackstar. I believe also a Garmoth heart comes through. You're going to have to be chat, what is it? Level 61? Is level 60 or 61 a requirement there? You have to do your main story quest line. For the hearts, I think for the Garmoth heart, I think you need to, let's see, Garmoth, the free one, you needed to be level 61 with 200 plus hours in the game and knowledge from Muju by doing the Magnus quest line, right? So along with that, you'll have a pen Blackstar, a Tet Blackstar, your third, so then you can get a pen Blackstar from your deck weapon, and then Olvia Academy gives you another pen Blackstar selection box, and also the guarantee materials to enhance that Tet Blackstar you had into a pen Blackstar. So in total, you're going to get 4, not free, but easy pen Blackstars in the game. Now, one of the big questions people are going to ask is, hey, what should I use this for? So like, do I go with my main hand and immediately get a sovereign? You know, you have to combine 2 pen Blackstars in order to get a sovereign main hand weapon. You combine 2 pen Blackstars to get a sovereign awakening weapon, and you'll need 2 pen Blackstars plus 20,000 Kharazad in order to make your sub weapon. So what do we use these for? So the ideal way to go about it is, firstly, it's hard to tell a new player at this point to commit to succession or awakening. Me personally, I kept my main hand and awakening AP the same all the way to like 275, 276, or sorry, 375 or 376. So very late game, over 800 gear score. And I just kept it the same because I love playing both awakening and succession classes. When the disparity becomes too big between your main hand AP and your awakening AP, you're going to feel that to be a bit difficult to do. So in the beginning, if you cannot decide what you want to do, then it's okay to go triple pen Blackstar with all of the free Blackstars you get. So your deck enhancement, your free one you get, the free one you get from Olvia. If you do know what you're going to commit to, and it's very hard for someone at this stage to be committing to any character, any class, let alone the specialization this early in the game. If you do know what you're committing to, then you can, you know, do it like go sovereign on one. If you're going for like a succession class, you're gonna make this into a sovereign. You can put a Tet weapon, Tet Blackstar here for the awakening, and keep the next pen Blackstar on your sub weapon, and then later you can get another pen Blackstar, make that into a sovereign. So you can just keep your secondary weapon, whether if you're playing succession, that'd be your awakening at Tet Blackstar. If you're playing awakening, you can keep your main hand at Tet Blackstar, and you can just really focus into it. But once again, it's very hard for a new player when you have over 56 specializations to say commit, not just to one class, but then to only succession or awakening, because once you get the disparity in terms of AP, you know, you don't want to go and play your alternate spec when you have much less AP and you're making less money and you're a lot weaker. So once again, to recap there, you're going to get a total of 4 easy pen Blackstars in the game. 1 from your Y tab, a Tet Blackstar from your Y tab, then your Olvia Academy will give you a selection box, and it's going to give you an enhancement stone to make that Tet Blackstar into a pen enhancement material. And then the last one is from your deck Tuvala conversion. So once again, as I was explaining, you're going to have to decide whether you want to go full succession or full awakening. If you can't decide, that's okay. Just keep them both at pen. That's okay. Because having a pen Blackstar is really good. It gives you a lot of monster AP. So even if you're just going your going succession for the time being, but you don't want to commit to having a sovereign, you can keep this as a Blackstar and keep this one as a pen Blackstar as well. So they can give you the passive monster AP bonus. So here, though, if you do want to go for one of the specializations and committing to, for example, succession, here we have a sovereign gauntlet. So with the sovereign gauntlet, I have a mystic template here, so that's why it's a gauntlet. So eventually you'll want to get it to pen. Getting it to pen is going to be your primary goal. You don't have to immediately take it to pen as soon as you enhance it, but eventually you want to get to pen, and that's going to be a priority because it's really good in terms of your total AP. But the main thing of what you want from sovereign weapons is the additional reforged stone. So there's a whole preset mechanic in the game where you can socket these in and even cycle them out depending on which spot you're at. But this is basically the DPS loadout, the general loadout I use. You can replace this all damage reduction stone with crit rate stone, critical hit rate, if you are a class that needs more critical hit rate. So if you are a death blow class, you can consider doing that. But generally for sovereign weapons, you're going to go with Black Spirit, rage recovery, critical hit, extra damage, back attack, extra damage, damage reduction, and all AP, with the damage reduction being your flex stone, which you can change out to critical. So essentially, you don't have to make this decision this early into the game. You just need to be aware of why you have so many pen Blackstars, why you need so many pen Blackstars, and what you need to be thinking towards. So you don't have to make this decision, but it's something you have to keep in the back of your mind. Now guys, let's recap on all the sources of our pen Blackstars. Initially, before Olvia Academy, we got 3 Blackstars for free or cheap methods. That is the pen Blackstar from your Y tab, the Tet Blackstar from your Y tab, and the pen Blackstar by exchanging a deck Tuvala piece of weapon. With the Olvia Academy, we actually got an additional Tet Blackstar, a pen Blackstar, a Darkstar Blackstone, which guarantees the enhancement from Tet to pen for the Tet Blackstar. Additionally, we also got 11 Obsidian Hammers, which is a safe enhancement, which protects your Tet Blackstar from downgrade, and you'll have 11 of those from the Olvia Academy rewards, as well as the event currency exchange, plus 15,000 Cronstones. Now you might be thinking, because of those hammers and the free Cronstones, that adds up to an additional pen Blackstar. That is not the case here, and I'll tell you why. If you're able to tap in those 11 Obsidian Hammers, then yes, that is an additional pen Blackstar. You're taking that previous Tet that you got from your Y login rewards, and you're taking that to pen. Yes, in that case, if it goes, yes, but you shouldn't use those Cronstones straight up to enhance those remaining 4 attempts. If anything, I would recommend you to raw tap your pen Blackstar 4 times from Tet to pen and just let it rip, because that is a lot cheaper than the Cronstones it would cost to tap a pen Blackstar 4 times. Each tap of a Tet Blackstar to pen with Cronstones costs 3,670 Cronstones. That's 11 billion silver per tap. And right now on the market, pen Blackstars are being sold for 25 billion each at the time of recording this video. Eventually they will go back up, but you know, it is still a very expensive cost to use Cronstones on a pen Blackstar in this day and age. I would really recommend you use your Obsidian Hammer 11 times, and then for the remaining attempts for your Agri-Essence, raw tap Tet Blackstars from Tet to pen without Cronstones, because that would be cheaper in most cases than using Cronstones, because that is just an extremely high cost for Cronstones. That is endgame gear level Cronstones in this day and age. Next, let's talk about the free Garmoth's Heart that you get, right? So Garmoth's Heart is also an annoying thing to get in this game, but nowadays they're just sitting on the marketplace for the most part. Maybe it's because of a recent event, because double loot from Garmoth, but when I checked, there were quite a few just sitting there. Otherwise, you have to pre-order them. By the end game, you're going to want three Garmoth Hearts to go on each of your sovereign weapons. So a Garmoth Heart can be added onto an awakening weapon just straight up, but it's not able to be added to a Mainhand pen Blackstar or a Blackstar weapon. You can add it to the awakening Blackstar and the awakening and the sub weapon Blackstars, but not the Mainhand. Only when you make a sovereign Mainhand you can add a Garmoth Heart to it. So in this example, I'm going succession. So with the free Garmoth Heart, it's going to go on my succession on the Mainhand weapon. If I'm going awakening, then it's going to go on my awakening weapon. By putting it on the awakening weapon, it gives you 2 extra crystal slots, and that's huge. So these crystal slots are pretty big in terms of power. If you do go your Mainhand right, and you have a sovereign and you put the black and the Garmoth Heart on the sovereign weapon, what you're going to do for your awakening weapon weapon is you're going to buy a Karanda's Heart. A Karanda's Heart is something you get from Stormbringer Karanda. It's a world boss. Karanda is a world boss, which sometimes can be spawned as the higher variant. That's Stormbringer Karanda. You can buy these pretty easily off the marketplace. Put in a pre-order if for whatever reason it's missing. They're pretty common. So what this is going to do is it's going to give you that extra critical hit damage as well as give you one crystal slot. Better than nothing. So yeah, it's not as good as the Garmoth, but you know, you're only missing one crystal slot at that point. So you're going to put the Stormbringer, you're going to turn your awakening weapon to Stormbringer if you put your Garmoth Heart here on your main hand. If you are going awakening, you can put the Garmoth Heart right here on your awakening weapon. And for your sub weapon, you're going to put the Kutum's Heart on it. So instead of a Garmoth Heart, the lower variant is the Kutum's Heart, which it gives you a lot of health. It's 585 HP right there. That's pretty big. It's not as much as the Garmoth, but it's still better than nothing. And it's really cheap. And you can put it on your Blackstar sub weapon. So that's what you need to know about hearts. You're going to get one free Garmoth Heart. There's also another way to get a guaranteed Garmoth Heart through a long progression. You can look up a guide for it. I'd recommend starting it if you're in a region where Garmoth Hearts are on pre-order. So just check and see how many pre-orders are there. Right now on NA, you know, it's pretty abundant when I checked, but yeah, there was a lot of Garmoth Hearts just sitting there. So on NA, it wasn't an issue, but if it is an issue for you guys, you should consider doing it. It is a long process and it is a waste of time, in my opinion. It's not money efficient, but it is efficient if you had to wait like multiple weeks or months for a pre-order to come in. I know Vells Heart is something that is in high demand, so there is a lot of competition in pre-orders there. Okay, so we talked about the Pen Blackstars, now the heart, and let's pivot back to the deck Tuvala. So the first one, the deck weapon, is turning into a Pen Blackstar. The deck armor is going to turn into a Slumbering Origin armor. So those are a high variant of gear that looks like this, and getting your armor to deck will let you exchange for a Slumbering Origin armor. So here we chose the Fallen Gods armor. So that's the one I would recommend you go for. I think it's pretty straightforward there. So yeah, looks like I did put a note here. It takes around 6,000 cron stones. I think it was like 5,000 to 6,000 going for from Pen Tuvala to deck Tuvala. I'm not sure if that's still the case, if anything's changed. You do get a lot of cron stones from events. A cron stone is worth 3 million silver each, so it does look a bit daunting, but you do get a lot of them from events like the Olvia Academy right now, the login rewards. There's also the codes that you can find on garmoth.com of the ball events that they had where they gave out like 10,000 cron stones and stuff. So there's a lot of cron stones just given out. I wouldn't find this too daunting as a new player. Just make sure you use those in the right places. So, you know, you don't have to go for this right off the rip. I'm just explaining how to get it. We're going to talk about when you go for what afterwards, but you need to be aware of all these things, because you don't want to accidentally get to a point where you need a Slumbering Origin armor and you go and enhance like 4 pieces yourself, or buy 4 pieces yourself when you can get one much cheaper. So the next one here, the next topic is going to be the Capotias. So recently there was an event which gave us really easy access to Capotias with the last season. That's ended, but let's talk about the basic ways to get your Capotia accessories. The first one you're going to get, as I explained earlier, the necklace you're going to get from your first season reward. Then you can make an immediate second seasonal character, because you'll have multiple season passes, and make a second one, getting it to like level 10 or something very early on in the seasonal pass. You get the reward, the exchange certificate for the reward. So you can take that on your main, go exchange it again, and get your second Capotia piece. So let's talk about the other two. So the first one, I picked the necklace. The second one, a ring. The third one, okay, so you're going to need items to enhance your Tuvala access, or your Capotia accessory. So there's a few ways to get these. These are Dreamy Crystals of Balance. There's 2 means to get this. The number one is going to be from AFK fishing in a general town like Velia. I have an AFK fishing guide. Go check it out if you need help on getting started there. But if you AFK fish in Velia, get plump coelacanth. This might be one of those things that I actually open up the game to just show you straight up. We are AFK fishing here in Velia. You know, you go to manage currency on top, and then there's these fish called the plump coelacanth. And here, this is a family-wide turn-in. You can only do it once, but it gives you 21 of these. And that's enough to take an accessory from try to pen. A Capotia accessory from try to pen, guaranteed. So it's really easy to do this with like a very minimal setup. You don't need any mastery in order to do this. These will add up. It's just AFK activity. So this is one way to do it. Now, coming back to here, let's see what we need to do. So you get the Dreamy Crystal of Balance balance from there. Whoops. And then you need a ring in order to enhance it. So once you get your character to level 62, you'll get a free one from your Y tab. So from your rewards tab. So you can take that and you can throw these dreamy crystal of balance into it. You'll have a pen Capotia ring. So that's your second ring. And then for your last one, on your Y tab, you're going to automatically start these this one login reward track, where every day you log in, you're going to get a dreamy crystal of balance, and it'll take you 21 days to get 21 of them. And with that, you can take a belt or any Capotia accessory from try to pen. I recommend a belt. You'll get a belt as a level 60 reward, and you can even use the ones you get from fishing on the belt, and then, you know, vice versa. After you get to level 62, you can get the ring and use these instead. So I just assumed that you'll get to level 60 before you get to 62, right? So that's why I booked these two together. You could probably change the number of this, but anyway, the 4 that you're going to be aiming for is like this. The 2 of them are from the season pass, 1 is from AFK fishing in town, and 1 is from your login reward on your Y tab. Okay, so that's how it's going to look. We left these 2 blank because the Capotia earring, it doesn't give you more AP than your Tuvala earring. That's just going to stay static. What it does give you is 8 more DP, which isn't really necessary. There's other alternatives you can do instead. So I primarily focus on these. So you don't need 6 Capotias. You just need the 4. So let's change this one back for the time being, and let's go. All right, next, let's talk about the pen boss gear. So there have been quests, like for example, in recent times, I have personally like 3 pen boss gear selection boxes. So let's see right here. So sometimes during seasonal events, as a part of a new season era, they're going to give you some quests, like for example, get to level 60 and you get 2 pen boss selection, you know, a pen boss gear selection boxes. So this has happened several times. Right now, I don't think there's anything as such active right now. I'm not sure, but in case there isn't, I'll tell you what you should be doing to get it. So getting your pen boss gear, oh my god, I'm just messing up my fishing here. It's pretty cheap nowadays. You know, boss gear isn't that very high demand as it used to be. So here's what you're going to be doing to get. So doing your Magnus quest line, you're going to get a selection box guaranteed on the almost final quest there. So that's going to be one of them. So as I said, last season we had getting to level 60, you got 2 of those boxes. That might not be the case anymore, but just keep your eye out in case there is such events going on. But otherwise, I would recommend you buy Orgons and then Griffins. I would recommend you use your Magnus box for your Beg's gloves. So you need 3 pen boss gears to fill in your slots, because the 4th slot, your chest piece, you're going to be getting the Fallen God armor by enhancing your pen Tuvala armor to deck. So you need 3 boxes. One you're getting from Magnus, you need 3 boss gear. 1 you get from Magnus through the box, and then 2 you're going to buy. So you're going to buy Urgons, and then you're going to buy the Griffin. So there is a guaranteed enhancement system that used to be a intermediary catch-up mechanic back in the day. Right now, it's probably not efficient just because of how cheap the boss gear are. Once upon a time, each of these boss gears were like 10, 15 bill each, you know, in the high end, right? So nowadays, it's a lot cheaper. For example, let me show you. The Griffin helmet at Tet, what are you looking at? Sorry, at Pen, it's like 3 bill. You know, it's really cheap. Less than 3 bill. You can put in a pre-order. Then you have Urgon at Pen. You know, you're looking not even 1 bill. So it's stupidly cheap now. Once upon a time, this used to cost 10, 13 bill or even higher. So for that reason, that guaranteed Pen Jatina system is just not in an efficient way to use your money. Anyway, whatever may be the case in terms of the events going on, any freebies, those are just some ways to get it. Do whatever's the cheapest. That's what I'll say. Let's pivot to cups. So cups are things that you can add onto your accessories and they'll modify their stats. So like there's this one cup, the clouded one, which gives you more HP on your ring. The starlit one gives you more critical hit damage. These are legacy items. You don't need to worry about them anymore. You're going to be progressing so quickly that it's not going to make the difference by putting it on here, and extracting them is a bit of a pain. So I straight up say ignore them until you get to Kharazad or even the Tet Debo stage where you're saving up for pen debos. We'll talk about those different scenarios and routes later, but for now in the early stages you can ignore cups. You don't need to put them on your transitionary Accessory. Now, let's see. Let's go through my notes here. So don't worry until you're at Kharazad. You get one free Garmoth heart from the white tab. I explained this one. So it's going to go on your main specialization weapon. If you're going Succession and you have Sovereign on your main hand, you put the Garmoth heart there. If not, it goes on your Awakening weapon. Okay? And definitely start the guaranteed Garmoth heart quest line so you can get it over time if Garmoth hearts are very expensive on your server or on high pre-orders. Right now, there was recently an event, so I think there's been an abundance of Garmoth hearts, so it shouldn't be the case here for NA and EU. I don't know about EU, I haven't checked. All right, next thing to note is your additional AP and DP you get from your logs and quests. So the adventure logs are something that you're going to be doing just once, and once you're done, you don't have to worry about them on any character. It's family-wide. They are annoying to do. You know, you have to go out and do questing sort of activities, but once it's done, and it gives you flat AP and DP to your character. So it is important that you do all of these and get all the different stats here. So let's take a look at the notes here. So here are the ones you need to, here are the logs you need to do in order for AP and DP. Igor Bartoli log is a really good one because it gives you 6 AP and 6 DP. Once upon a time, all that AP and DP was spread across different logs and journals, and it was a lot longer process where they consolidated and optimized everything. So you get all those rewards from Igor Bartoli log itself, and the other logs gave, you know, just some additional rewards, cosmetics, pets, you know, titles, those kind of things. So right now, Igor Bartoli log is the primary one. Then Zarka Barrier of Infestation, that gives you 1 AP and DP. It takes a few weeks to do, I believe, but that's also an important one. You need to just get started and start doing it ASAP. And then the 10th hour anniversary log also gives you 1 AP and DP as well. Then for the quests, from the main story quest line for Sylvia, for completing it, you get a quest that gives you 1 DP there. For Odalita, you get a main story quest line completed. You'll get a quest to get 1 AP. Then the Land of the Morning Light, a main story quest line. Those are long and it's a bit of a slog. It was a pain, but it's super important to do because you get 1 AP and DP there as well as unlock 2 of the crystal slots. So 2 of the crystal slots, I believe, are locked here. These bottom 2 ones are from Land of the Morning Light. And also by doing the logs there, no longer time gated. Zarka is no longer time gated. You can do it in 1 week. Okay, correction there then. Zarka Barrier Infestation is no longer time gated. Thanks, guys. So you can just do it right off the rip. Good. So yeah, Land of the Morning Light is very goated. That quest line is long, but you get crystal slots, you get AP and DP. And also there's a log there for Land of the Morning Light. Is it still the case, guys? The 20 accuracy you get from those easy logs? Because if that's the case, that's also pretty nice. I'm not sure if they merged it into other ones. All right, next let's talk about the Alchemy Stone. So there's the simple one. The easiest one to get is Ator's Power Stone. So this one is from the Ulukita main story quest line. You don't have to do all the previous main story quest lines of different regions. I think you can just run to Ulukita and start this one. The final reward is that Ator's Power Stone, which is 1 AP to your sheet AP, which is pretty big. You can use the destruction ones, the spirit stones that you can get from the marketplace or from grinding at some Kama Sylvia spots, but these have been on pre-order for a long time. It's been sold out. Not many people are grinding in those spots anymore, so supply is low. So just as a starting stone, this is a good one to get. But if you have a guild, you'd ideally want to start working towards a Khan's Heart. That one is going to be a good intermediary because Vells Heart has been notoriously difficult to pre-order on NA, at least. If I show you here, you'll see there's hundreds of pre-orders on both the Vells Heart and the Concentrated Magic. From the world boss, twice a week, out in the ocean, you get a small percentage chance of getting Vells Concentrated Magic. You can convert that into the actual Vells Heart. You have to combine it with some materials there. You can look it up. But the problem is there's a lot of pre-orders on this. Right now, there's over 427 at peak price for the heart alone. Then for the Concentrated Magic, also 300. So it does take time to get it. You have to be lucky. You have to go to those Vells twice a week. Maybe you might get it as a main drop, or you'll eventually get it as a pre-order, but it is very difficult and rare to get. So for that reason, Khan's Heart recently, you know, this has gotten buffed to a point where it's 2 sheet AP, and you know, you can get it relatively easily. You just need to have a guild that does Khan. And, you know, I recommend joining an active guild which does the activities that you need. You know, doing those weekly guild bosses is goated. Just from doing those 4 guild bosses, I get 4 bill in cash. If you do Khans as well, you get a total of 5 bill, as well as progressing towards your Khan's Heart. So look up a guide on that. Just make sure you go and join an active guild. It's going to really change your experience in BDO and your progression. Those guild bosses are so easy. It takes like 20-30 minutes to do 4 of those, excluding Khan, and you get like 4 billion liquid silver almost. So it's like really good. So for that reason, you want to aim towards getting a Khan's Heart. Now let's take a really quick look at the market here for Khans, right? So buying a Khan's Heart is much easier. Expensive, but at the same time, you can resell it eventually once you do get your Vells Heart, right? So either you join a guild and do Khans, and in a few weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, you'll get your own Khan's Heart, or you can just buy one. So that's the story of Alchemy Stone. So once again, 8 horsepower stone if you don't have Khans, then work your way towards Khan's Heart, get your pre-order for Vells, keep going to Vells twice a week if you have the time and you can make it, or put up your pre-orders and get lucky. Either way, it's RNG, unfortunately. If you're on console though, they just give it to you for free because they didn't have Vells for such a long time. So hey, console W right there. Honestly, they should have added Vells to Olvia Academy, I'm saying. All right. Let's get on to the next point. Now, the last one is for new players who are less than 60 days of game time in, that is 1,440 hours. You have access to 10 billion liquid silver for doing some simple activities that everyone needs to do anyway. So this is a link here that'll take you to the guide. Let's actually open this up. I think this will be the easiest. Yeah, give me a. All right, flashbang right now. This is not in dark mode. Let me try to force it. Okay, I forced it into dark mode. Okay, we're good. So this was added last year in July. So this should still be going on. I don't think this was a temporary thing. I think it's just something that's there to help newer players. Okay. So in order to qualify, you need to be 60 days or less. So 60 days or less from starting the game. So if a new player's benefits activated, you'll see this icon displayed on the top of your screen. So that should give you an indication if you can do this. You can get 10 billion silver for doing. So here are the requirements to do these. So there's 2 sets of requirements. I think what happened was if you logged in between July 2nd and 10th maintenance, your requirements were different. I don't know why. But whichever it is, you'll be able to see when you start doing it on your end. It's not going to be crypted. It should straight up tell you what you need to be doing. So you can get a total of 2 billion. You get a total of 2 billion silver for each of these activities. All right. So doing each of these steps will give you 2 billion silver. So whether you're on this track or this track, it'll depend on if you logged in at a specific time or something. But if you are on this track, this is completing Igor Bartoli's adventure logs. You need to do those anyway, so definitely do that. MSQ, so you don't need to do all of them. You can just do one of them, one of the main tracks. So there's the main track that you started at Ancient Stone Chamber and all the way through the Medaya quest line. Then there's the one that if you started in Mountain of Eternal Winter and you're on the Everfrost main quest line, that's that one. And then there's the one from Land of the Morning Light. So any of those, if you finish all the way through, you'll qualify for this. Then there's the Magnus quest line. You know, this one is also one of those that will take a little bit of time to do, but knocking that out is also good because you're going to be needing to do that for your pen boss gear anyway. And then these 2 are 50 hours of playtime and 100 hours of playtime. So that's just a time thing. If you're on this other track, it's a bit more simplified. You're getting to level 61, finishing up the main story quest line, finishing up the Magnus, 50 hours of playtime, and lastly, graduating your season character, which you're going to be doing anyway. So what are you going to do with this 10 billion silver? You now have that newfound wealth. The best thing to do is getting your Kabua's artifacts. Kabua's is massive. These are some of the best artifacts in the game, and they give you giga amount of stats for PvE. Each one of Kabua's, you get 100 HP, but main thing, 20 monster damage reduction for each one, and then 7 AP and 75 stamina. Combine them together, that's 40 monster damage reduction, 14 monster AP. That is massive in terms of stats. When they added this in, those spots that used to really hurt us and make it really difficult for some of the best for PvE. Yeah, they used to be really difficult to grind in some spots. Once you got Kabua's, it became cheese. So these are super important and it'll allow you to focus more on your AP and progressing to new spots. So with 10 bill silver, that's one of the best ways to use that 10 bill, or you can do it by any other means, just by grinding, just saving up. Now, one thing to remember is there is the pity pieces for Kabua's, which you combine, and there is the main drop. Right? So the pity pieces now, they seem to be suddenly in massive demand. Used to be just sitting here for like 45 mil each. Now they're in big demand. You need 100 of these to make a Kabua's. So look at the price difference. The main drop is all the way at 8 bill something. So if you're buying the pities cheaper than 80 mil each, then it's better to get to 100 pities by pre-ordering them, you know, or just buying them off the market if they're sitting there, than going directly to the Kabua's. So do whatever is cheaper, but that is a good investment for your free 10 bill you're getting. You know, once upon a time, they were sitting at like literally 45 milli each. So you were able to get 2 artifacts for that amount of money. Times have changed, but these do fluctuate. All right, moving on. That pretty much concludes our gate 1. So you got through the first gate of graduating from season, and these are all the free things, easy to get gear and freebies that you need to take into consideration and work towards. So it's not going to be a direct just grind, get silver and get new gear. There's a lot of little side activities you need to do in order to get all this stuff. So what happens after you get past the stage? Once you understand all the freebies, you don't need to get all of these right now. You don't have to get all your pen Blackstars. You don't have to get a sovereign. You can be at 3 pen Blackstars, whether even if one of them is at a 10, but it's just for you to know, when do you choose? How do you choose? Are you going for Mainhand or Awakening? Oh, there is one thing I forgot to mention here. I think I got a list of classes here, right? Yeah. So there are some Ascension classes in the game. That means they don't have a Mainhand, they don't have Succession or Awakening as traditionally we see, but these have their own track. For example, Shy, she doesn't have an Awakening weapon traditionally as we know it. She has an Artina Soul, which is a pain in the ass. I don't know why they don't let regular Awakening weapons take that slot, but it doesn't. So there's also other classes, Scholar, Wukong, Deadeye, Seraph. So all of these classes, I put them under the section of Succession. That means you need your main hand. So if you're going to main one of these classes, then you want to prioritize your main hand AP. That means when you're going for your first sovereign, you're going to go for your main hand sovereign first. Then there's Archer. He's the special one in all of these classes. He's the one that you're going to be prioritizing your Awakening weapon. But for all the other classes, you know, it's dependent on the spec you're playing. So if you're playing a Succession Witch, your main hand counts for 70% of your damage. Your Awakening weapon counts for 30%. So it does, you know, require you to keep progressing your Awakening weapon as well, but it's only 30% of your total damage, where your main hand is 70%. For a Shy, because she's a special class which doesn't have an actual Awakening weapon, I think it's 100% straight off the rip from your main hand. But for the others, they also follow the same kind of split, but most of their damage is coming from their main hand weapon skill. Whereas Archer, most of his damage comes from his great bow, which is his Awakening weapon. And just to keep note, if you do commit to any of these classes and you are going for a sovereign weapon, it takes about 10,000 to 15,000 crowns. It's RNG, man. I'm sure there's the number of actual amount of crown stones you need, but generally it takes around that much to get from base to pen. You go to up to try usually. I think a duo or try, you're going to just rip it without cron stones. Then going to tet and pen, you're going to be using cron stones. Okay, now once you are done with all the freebies of the easy stuff, let's talk about the next gate. You're going to be passing through gate number 2. So now you're going to actually start, this is going to slow down on your progression because you're not getting a bunch of free stuff or easy to get stuff. Now you're actually going out and working for your gear. So let's start with this one. This is where the grind begins. So let's say you did get all the freebies, you know, that I mentioned and talked about. The only thing that's missing is the Kharazad. The reason why we didn't get the Tet Kharazad, it is just a little bit of an AP spike, but I'm not sure if you want to go the route of Kharazad. It does cost money, like, in order to make, because you are enhancing that deck, the pen Tuvala accessory to deck. So it does cost cron stones, and those are valuable. So for that reason, I didn't recommend it yet, but these are 2 guaranteed things you are going to do. Your Blackstar from your deck Tuvala enhancement and your armor. So let's say you get to this point. You're around this gear score, over 650 gear score now if you did all your journals and logs and everything. So let's take a look at the different grind spots. So how grind spots work now is they put AP caps on it. There's always been AP caps, but before they were pretty generous, that even if you overgeared the spot, you're getting stronger and stronger and you're clearing it faster and faster. I think it was like 30 or 35% soft cap back in the day. So like after you got past that AP cap, you know, your AP is still effective to 30%. Now it's nerfed all the way down to 5%. So if you got 100 more AP than the spot requires, you only get 5 additional effective AP at that spot. So for that reason, it's pigeonholing us into specific grind spots based on our AP. So for example, if you have, let's say, around 800 total AP, and in order to see that AP, you're going to go to your equipment slot, you're going to hit this button here, and it's going to display your total AP. So right now, my total AP on this Fisher, which has negative sheet AP, is actually 52. So you'll also see it on the top here. And you can also set it here for the specific species you're fighting. So if you're fighting demi-humans, you can select that. If you're fighting humans, you can select that, Kama Sylvia, and Idani. So it'll give you a precise idea of where your AP, total AP lands. Make sure you include your consumables, your crystals, your class AP buffs, and all of that. And then you'll be able to see which spot you're going to be grinding at, which is going to be efficient for your current bracket. So here I just put a list down of all the spots that I recommend grinding at the specific and their respective AP cap. When you're new to the game as a seasonal player, Gahaz Bandits is a really good spot for money. I mean, there's a lot of spots you can be grinding, but I'm just talking about the ones I mostly recommend. I recommend Kortuga because it's a nice aesthetic. It's your first introduction to BDO, and it also drops a big variety of artifacts. Then Swamp Fogans is probably your best bet for money once you're at the full pen Tuvala plus, and after you graduated, you're going to get a lot of free easy AP. You can get to like Swamp Fogans 803 AP, then Orc Camp 856 AP, Honglum Base 950 AP, Jade Starlight Forest 950 AP. Then there's a bit of a jump to the next one recommended spot because people usually sit at Honglum for a long time. Then Hex Sanctuary is 1130 AP. After that, Izirid Highlands in Ulukida, that's 1180 AP. Quint Hill, that's an alternative spot for classes which don't have high mobility or high AoE grinding. They're more single target, small AoE focused classes. That's Quint Hill. That's a 1295 AP total AP cap. Tungrad Ruins, then after that you're getting to the region of Ulukida, and it's a big jump because like a lot of people stay at Hex or Izirid all the way till they get to Tungrad Ruins, and that's like 1395 AP. Dark Seekers after that 1490. Dekia Ash Forest 2 1540, but Dark Seekers is the go-to spot. You can actually stay here perpetually until you're at Edania. And finally Orzekia 1595 AP. So these numbers are pretty big, but it doesn't mean you need to be at like this specific number in order to go grind there. You can be 50, 60, 70 AP below and still go grind there. It depends on you as a player, how skilled you are at your class, how your class specifically performs at a certain individual grind spot. Some are more pack-to-pack oriented, some have bigger AoE, some are quicker on their cooldowns, and depending on the layout and the distance of the mobs and pack, they might line up a lot better than other classes. So there's a lot of factors that go into it, but you're going to be essentially be progressing from one spot to another, and as your gear improves, you're going to be going to the next spot. But you got to decide, hey, am I going to be working on my AP or am I going to be working on my DP? So that's where the question between accessories versus armors comes up. So do you need more DP in order to comfortably and safely grind at your current spot, or need more DP in order to get to the next best spot for you? Then you're going to have to improve your armors and your DP. Or if you are comfortable at your current spot but you want to grind faster and you don't have enough AP yet to go to the next spot or even cap out at the current spot, then you're going to focus on the AP. So it's not a matter of, okay, here now you have to buy your next helmet, then you want to upgrade your ring, then you want to upgrade your belt. It's not going to be like that because it's really different for each individual player. How well you play at a certain grind spot, how well you play your class, depending on a lot of factors, it's going to be the case. So it really depends on where. Izirid is less money than Hex since the flame tanked and doesn't sell at all. Plus Hex just sucks outside of Marnie. Depends. Like some classes, like let's say you don't have any Agris, then yeah, you're going to be ignoring Izirid Highlands. But you know, when Agris is there, you know, some spots do outperform others. So there is a bit of a deviation there, but Izirid and Hex, and also it's a matter of like change of scenery, right? If you're stuck at a single grind spot for 100 hours, you're going to be bored as fuck. You're going to get burnt out. Like me, I go from Tenebrum, Orbita, Dark Seekers. Even now, even though I am at like over 1800 total AP, I still variate it even with my minimal amount of grinding just on the weekend. So there's a lot of things to take into consideration. It's not just cut and dry, okay, this is your next step, but you need to understand the reasonings for how you go from one upgrade to the next. And it's dependent on the grind spot, and it's dependent on what upgrade is going to get you the most amount of money going forward. That's what it's all about. Then the next step we're going to talk about is your armors. Once upon a time, getting everything to duo and then to tri was important. Getting to full tri set was important back in the day, but also back then, Tet Slumbering Origin armors, that is these four pieces of armors, the Labreska helmet, Fallen God armor, Dawn's glove, and Ator shoe, these are called Slumbering Origin armor. They're in that category of that type of gear. Once upon a time, they were best gear, and getting them all to Tet was the best thing to do. So the next best thing was getting to try. Now, it's not the case. After they did the change of AP brackets last year in the summer, a lot of the spots that used to hurt us back then, going to Orzekia, going to Dekia Ash Forest 2, without try Slumbering Origin armor, you would get screwed. Like, you would get blasted. Now it's not the case. They hit a lot less, and even if you just have duos, you're chilling. Okay, so it's gotten a lot different and a lot easier to grind in a lot of these spots. So going for the tries is not necessary. Personally, I think it's, you know, you can just hang on to these duos plus that one try you get from doing the deck to Vala in armor enhancement and exchanging it for a tri Slumbering Origin armor. That should be the only piece. If you want to get more DP for whatever reason and you need that DP, there are ways to do this, all right? So you can just straight up, you can enhance your way or you can buy it. Buying is the way to go now. In order to get a Slumbering Origin armor, previously you had to get the pen boss gear, get it to C10, get the flame, the associated flame. For example, if you're going for Labresca helmet, you needed a Griffin's at C10, and then you had to get the Flame of Frost and go to the NPC and exchange it and make the Labresca base helmet. But looking at the prices right now, this is what we're looking at. On NA, you need 7,224 Caphras in order to get a C10 Griffin helmet. And on NA, with the current prices of Caphras, that's 19.5 bill. And then it's going to cost you some in order to enhance it from base to duo. And you're going to have to repair it as you fail. So in total, it's going to be pretty expensive going for getting the flame. Oh, the additional cost of the flame, then getting the base Slumbering Origin armor to duo. It's expensive. So just buying it, all the Labresca, Aetors, Dons, they're all within 20 to 22 bill. So it's a lot more economical to buy. And if you are, for whatever reason, going for those tries, if you just need that more AP, if you need for some PvP purposes, buying a tri Slumbering Origin armor, they're all 42 to 44 bill. So you can get the duos, eventually sell them, resell them, and then buy the tries. I think you can just sit at duos for a very long time and not need it for PvE. In PvE purposes, I say just buy the duo. So that's the difference between the tries and whether you're going for try and if you're making your own Slumbering Origin armor, it's not worth it right now with the price of Caphras. Just buying duos is the way to go. Now let's talk about accessories. So here's one thing that people hate when I say. I recommend people to just buy some easy accessories like Tet Distos. They used to be really dirt cheap, and just use those as intermediary. Just get that 10 AP and go grind in peace, because they are something that you can just resell. They're usually just sitting there. Let's check on NA right now, Distos. They're usually just sitting there, and for a long time they were actually sub 10 bill, like dipping all the way down to like 7 bill. So they're really cheap. Now people will say, hey, just make pen Kharazads. There you get all these free cron stones, and it's really cheap to make the pen Kharazad's almost free. Well, it's not free. You're getting those cron stones for free, sure, but those are your resources. Why throw them into something that you might not want to progress? You might not want to go the route of enhancing Kharazad. You might want to buy Tet Debos down the line and then eventually buy Pen Debo. So throwing away, even if it's just 20,000 cron stones you got for free, into something that's going to be just, you know, unsellable, you can't liquidate those down the line, that's a true waste. If you're just buying intermediary gear and then reselling them, eventually when you are going down a certain route that you've decided on, you're just getting a small loss. But look at the giga gain you get. You get 10 more AP from these two Tet Distos for a cheap price. So for example, you can get the Distos 7 to 9 bill each. If you got them 9 bill each, that's 1.3 bill loss for each one when you do resell it. That's not much versus the cost of enhancing a Kharazad to pen and then deciding, hey, I don't want to enhance all the way to Nov. I just don't have it in me. It's going to be super expensive. Fair enough. Buy the Disto, buy the Debos, buy the Pen Debos. But if you're throwing away that much for multiple pieces, it's not ideal. Yeah, I went the route of Kharazads. I'm okay with the Kharazad system. It suits me because I didn't think I was capable of saving up for Pen Debos. It's almost like 1 trillion silver even now. But it wasn't until much later where I had much higher AP that I got to the point when I was capable of saving up that much. So it's certainly a really hard grind, but it's cheaper than enhancing your own set of Nav Kharazad. So you're gonna have to decide that for yourself. But intermediary accessories are okay to use. I'm here telling you, I don't care what anyone says in the chat. It's not efficient. Fuck off. It's cheap. It's easy. 10 AP. Let the dudes get more AP, go grind and chill. And if they want to sell those and not go down that route, they can just resell it, take a tiny bit of loss and chill. Right? So let's talk about the next route. We're talking about using the intermediary accessories because you can then decide, are you going full Kharazads and enhancing yourself, or are you going to get Tet Debos? So there is the conversation between enhancing Kharazads and converting Tet Debos. Once upon a time, Tet Debos were really cheap. They were sub 20 bill for multiple pieces, like almost 18 bill, some of them. So they were really cheap to acquire. Now they are quite expensive. They're back in the 30s, I believe. Now they're more expensive than they used to be. So they're also if you're buying it at 33 bill, that is actually more expensive than enhancing your own Kharazad. And not only are you buying this, but you're taking a loss when you do resell them, right? So a total of 6 Tet Debos right now, it costs you almost 200 bill at the current market prices on NA. When you do resell them in the future, future, you're looking at a 28 bill loss. Right now, in the current market, it's actually cheaper than to buy Tet Devos and convert these to pen Kharazads. It's cheaper to enhance your own Kharazads to pen. However, if you don't want to go the pen Kharazad route, or if you don't want to go the enhancing Kharazad route, then you can buy the Tet Devos and just hold them and use those as your main set of accessories. So you can buy them one at a time slowly, get the distos here, fill out the other spots, then go and buy the pen disto, the Tet Devos here, because you get a 5-set effect, plus you're not getting the negative DP effect of wearing distos. And then you can chill with this, and then you can go down the route of saving up for your pen Devos, or you could even back out and say, hey, I do want to make my own Kharazad. You can use these as the base set of gear to acquire the resources to start enhancing your Kharazads on the side, and then eventually replacing these as you go. And of course, you have to get the AP crystal as well. Let's see if they're sitting there. Dawn crystal of all AP. No, they're not sitting there, but you can make them yourself. You can craft them yourself. It takes, let's see, 10 blackstone powder, 20 essence of dawn, and 300 magical shards. So you can craft these yourself. So if you're not converting a Tet Devo into that, you can do that. But in order to understand the price of a Tet Devo, if it's worth converting, you can use BDO Workshop. So BDO Workshop is Bayrog Han's website, which gives you easy calculation on gear upgrades. I love this website and I love Bayrog, big fan. Very, do I already have it here at Kharazad? Yeah, this is Kharazad. So here it's showing you, so I already set it up yesterday. So I put the gold level as pen, and you're seeing how much each upgrade costs per level. And then it'll show you the total cost as you progress, right? The total cost here, and if you look at this exclamation mark, you can see the price of the Devos at Tet minus the 3 bill that you'll be saving for converting a Devo. So for example, here the necklace, a Tet Devo costs 24.8 bill, but on average, you're looking at about 22.3 bill making your own Kharazad, plus you need 3 bill approximately for that Jin AP crystal as well. Whereas if you bought the 24 bill Devo, you'll convert that. It'll give you a Kharazad plus the AP crystal. So for the necklace, it's better to just buy the Devo and convert according to this numbers. But for the belt, the ring, and the earring, that's not the case. According to current market prices, it's saying it's better to enhance your own. You can use this tool. It's different for each region. It's different for the time period. There are times when Devos were a lot more expensive. They fluctuate, is what it is, but you'll have to make the decision for yourself. And most important thing is what you can stomach as a player. Can you save over 1 trillion silver, well, like 200 bill a piece for each accessory, for each pen? Let's take a look at Devos, how much they're going for, right? A pen Devo, pen necklace, 150 bill, or 140 bill, that's easy. That's doable. I think anyone at this stage are capable. But then we're looking at earrings, that's like more in the range of 180 bill each. Then that's for 2 of them. Then 180 bill each for 2 rings. And then for a belt, you're looking at the same thing, around 180 bill. 170 bill, 180 bill. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of time. If you're earning only 2 bill an hour, that's a lot of hours. So you need to decide for yourself the route you want to go. Going to Kharazad, there's nothing wrong with going Kharazad. Yes, it could be more expensive, but it's a general progression that you'll get gradual AP over time. I wasn't at the point when I was at full Tet Devo. I was looking at the game. I was like 324, 326 AP or something. And I'm like, nah, I can't save up 200 bill for each accessory. I don't have it in me. I got to that point much later when I was making 3 to 4 bill an hour. And then I'm like, yeah, I can save up 200 bill. That's easy. So it depends on the individual, right? You can't just say, hey, this is better than that. You have to take into consideration different routes. So once again, you can, turn these into Kharazad or enhance your own Kharazads. As I explained, how to determine if it's worth it, the prices. So even if you get those Cron Stones for free, don't treat it as just free upgrades here. Those are your resources that do hold inherent silver value. Use them wisely. All right, so that is the end of gate 2, I believe. So part 2. So yeah, that concluded gate 2. Now we're at gate 3. Gate 3 now, you have the AP to be grinding at some of the decent grind spots now. You should be starting to progress in terms of how much money you're earning. But let's go ahead and make a few changes here. Let's turn this into fiery, just so we can see how much AP you're working with at this point. Let's go ahead and put a general PvE crystals. Let's put demi-human. So looking at the AP DP, you're at 1282 with this kind of gear. So 1282, you're getting close. I think you'd still stay at Iserid Highlands and still progress a little bit more. And pretty soon you're going to be working towards Tungrad Ruins. So now you're at solidly in the mid game, you're getting to some of the more grindier sections in the game where you're going to start seeing slower progression of your gear. That's okay. The current state of the game, you don't have to just sit there and grind for hours on end in order to progress. Now it's more daily oriented, passive income oriented, weekly activities oriented. For example, doing your boss rush weekly. I'm able to do C10s because I have a high enough gear score. But even if you're not doing C10s, even if you can just do C8 Bamboo Legion, just doing Bamboo Legions, you're still getting a good amount of passive income. Doing your guild bosses, that's about 4 bill liquid silver if you don't do con. If you do con, that's 5 billion silver for a very easy effort on a weekly basis. So combining doing your Ataraxian dungeons, doing your Pit of Undying, doing your Dark Rifts, everything, it adds up to a lot of silver that you're earning billions, tens of billions on a weekly basis just by playing the game in a casual level. Doing your AFK fishing, if you're able to keep your computer running 24/7, that's also a really good source of income. Me, every 8 hours, I'm getting anywhere from, like, if I get 0 prize fish at Velia, I'll still get over 950 million silver in 12 hours. So across 24 hours, I'm getting a lot of money that's just adding up. Like me minimally playing, I'm already at like 50 something bill, right? Last week I was at 20 something. So that's the power of passive income. Now you're at the stage where you're going to be looking at longer grinds in order for each upgrade. That's okay. That's just the nature of the game. Variate your activities. Don't just endlessly grind like it's a second job. You're going to burn out. By diversifying all the activities you do, keep up with the content on my channel. You'll see pretty soon guides for going over those other things as well. Easy money. Focus on the easy money. If you do have more time, go do your daily hour of grinding with Agris. If you do have more time, then you could grind further. But honestly, right now, just grinding 1 hour a day, just doing all the passive weekly daily activities, you can make over 2-3 trillion silver, depending on how active you are or regular you are. Consistency is important per year. 2 to 3 trillion silver as a casual player for a year. So just keep that in mind, guys. You are at a gate 3 now. Gate 3 is going to start being a lot longer. Gate 4 is going to be even longer. And now you are at the point when a lot of people do burn out. So just want to call out next your Vells Heart. That is going to be something that you're going to want to be keeping on pre-order, and hopefully you'll be able to get. You only need to get it once, and once you do, then you're golden. Once you do get your Vells Heart, you can empower these. We'll turn it into Exalted Vells Heart. Just Google it. It's a pretty easy thing to do. It requires Olvia, Calpheon, Grindspot drops in order to do it. You can just buy them off the market usually, and it should be a straightforward thing, but that's another 4 DP and 1 more AP than Khan's Heart. Once again, I want to call out the Garmoth's Heart as well. Whether you did your guaranteed Garmoth's Heart earlier when I mentioned, or now you're at the stage you're looking for your second Garmoth's Heart, this is a good point to be upgrading your Stormbringer Awakening to a Fiery Awakening. So that means instead of Stormbringer Karanda's Heart, you're going to be putting on a Garmoth's Heart here. And if you're playing Mainhand, if you're playing Awakening, then you don't have to do it, because you can't put a any heart on your Mainhand Blackstar. You need to have a Sovereign in order to put a Garmoth's Heart on it. So once again, for your offhand, this is a very low priority thing. You can keep it as Earth Shaking for a very long time, because the amount of HP you're getting versus the Earth Shaking, it's not that much more. Like here, you have 585 for Earth Shaking. That's only like 300 mil. Then look at the Fiery. That's 960 HP. It's not a big deal. So you can keep it as Earth Shaking for quite some time. By this point now, you're going to start thinking about, you should be pretty comfortable with what class you're playing. So you should start thinking about committing to one of your specs. If you can commit to one of your specs, that's great. That means you should be going for a Sovereign sub-weapon around this point. Your AP might be higher, it might be lower. I'll explain how you're going to be leveling up your accessories due to the fluctuation in prices, due to different focuses for each player. It's better for me to explain the means of upgrade rather than saying, hey, buy this, upgrade this accessory next, then you do your Sovereign, then enhance that one level, then this accessory next, because that all that could change just by market prices, market fluctuation, events coming in and stuff. But in this vicinity of gear score, you're around 750 gear score, closing in on the 750 mark. You're at 739 here before it. This is a good time to be thinking about the Sovereign sub-weapon. If you are someone who needs to play both Awakening and Succession, you can bring in the Awakening Sovereign. For a long time, we didn't have the Sovereign sub-weapon. I had 2 Sovereign on the main hands, and Mainhand and Awakening, and had them at the same AP because I played both Succession and Awakening. I was a Suck Mystic as well as an Awakening Mystic. So for me, it made sense to keep both of them the same AP instead of having this 10 AP disparity. That 10 AP is a big deal, man. That 10 AP, look at this. If we're looking at Demi-Human, equipment, it says 1123. Then on the awakening weapon, it's 1027. So that's a lot of AP difference. You got to decide for yourself what kind of classes you want to play. So it might not be ideal for someone to just commit to one specialization. So if you do commit a sovereign sub weapon, getting it to try, I think it's we just raw tap it to try, if I'm not mistaken, or you can use cron stones, but I recommend raw tapping and conserving those cron stones. You need that. You need a lot of them later down the line, but getting to try sovereign is pretty easy. Once again, these are the reform stones you use: Black Spirit Rage, critical hit, extra damage, back attack damage, all damage reduction, and all AP. And then you can convert the replace the all damage reduction for critical hit and whatever if you are looking to flex. Now let's talk about how you're going to be upgrading the Kharazads. If you went the route of Tet Debos and you're saving for Pen Debos, you don't need to listen to this part. But if you are going for Kharazads, whether you converted Tet Debos into Kharazads, if it was economical, depending on the price on your servers at this time, the time you're listening to this, or if you enhanced your Kharazads from base, whichever it may be the case, let's talk about how you're going to be upgrading these accessories. And remember, if you are making your Kharazads from base or whatever, there is that one Tet that you can get from your deck Tuvala accessory enhancement. And getting that one and then enhancing that to pen is really cheap compared to buying a Tet Debo. So that is one thing to remember. Let's talk about how you're going to be round robining and enhancing your Kharazad. I like to keep my necklace about 2 AP high, 2 enhancement levels higher than the rest of these. A while back, they made the change where now, you know, your earrings are pretty much getting the same AP per almost after a certain point, whereas before you'd have to like do some skipping in terms of enhancement. But now, you know, if everything is at pen here, then get your necklace about 2 enhancement levels higher, and then you can start enhancing the others to hex. So if you get your necklace to sep, then the others can go up to hex. And then you have to decide what you're looking for. You can continue to round robin here, or you can focus on DP in order to get to Jordine. Jordine is the first of your Idania bosses, and it acts as a weekly activity, quick boss fight for 5 minutes, which gives you a good amount of silver. As you progress through those Idania bosses, going to Rusalka, Enzlar, you know, your rewards get better. So you have to really decide here if you want to look towards Idania, or you want to just stay at Ulukita, keep grinding, keep improving your stats. If you are staying at Idania, at Ulukita, you're going to keep pumping your AP up. Then you're going to just round robin your necklace to Oct, and then you're going to get the rest to Sep. Now, the order of Kharazads, I must say, you can use, of course, you can use Baira Khan's website, BDO Workshop, and you put in your stats here where you're at, and it'll tell you which is the most economical. If you're going just for AP without worrying about DP getting to Idania, you can follow a path like this, which is going to show you which one to go first. Okay, first you get your necklace to hex, then your necklace to sep, then your earrings and your other accessories. It's basically what I was recommending, you know, by getting all of them to hex, then you work on your necklace to Oct, then your Mainhand sovereign, you know, up by 1 enhancement to hex. So you can follow BDO Workshop pretty comfortably in terms of which piece to upgrade next. It's just a matter of calculations, the enhancement rate versus the pity rate and the cost of cron stones per tap. So that is an option there in terms of how to go about it. So you're going to have to decide, are you going to go for Jordine, or are you going to keep pumping up your AP? Because if you're going for Jordine, let's say instead of pumping up your AP, you're going for Jordine. First, you have to clear the 350 AP mark. That is one of the main one of the requirements there. The other is going to be getting to 427 DP, I believe. Yeah, enhancing Try Fallen God is a pain. Don't do it. I would say just buy a Try, or you get this one from your Tuvala conversion. And for the other pieces, if you are going for Try, then you're just going to buy them. You don't want to enhance it yourself in this day and age. Once upon a time, Try Fallen God, Slumbering Origin armors used to be like 80 bill, 90 bill, you know? Back then, it made sense to enhance yourself, but not anymore. All right, let's say you are going towards Jordine. What are you going to be doing? So, you know, enhancing your sub weapon 1 level is an option there. Let's see what we're going to be doing next. So let's talk about the DP gains, right? The first thing is, let's see how your DP looks if you did go for all tries, okay? You can get to 427 like that, right? You can unlock it, just unlock Jordine by getting all tries. However, when you resell one of these tries, you're going to be losing money on the tax. How do you find out how much you're losing? Let's go to the central market on Garmoth.com. Over here, there's a tax calculator. let's say you have enough family fame to get the bonus there. You don't have a merchant ring and you have a value pack. So if I bought Ator shoe for 42 bill and I resold it for 42 bill, I am losing 6 billion silver when I resell it. So for that reason, I would recommend not going, because like that's going to be a total of 18 billion once you resell all three of these. This one you can't resell because that is the slumbering origin that you got from. Can you resell these? I don't think you can sell these, guys, right? It's untradeable, the one you get from Tuvala, but these you can resell, so that is a loss. So for that reason, I recommend immediately going for a Tet. Going for Tet is going to be the way to go. So let's see, let's look at Labresca on NA, right? So a Tet Labresca, almost 200 billies right now. Oh man, that's expensive, but it's not impossible. It's doable. Getting your armors to Tet Slumbering Origin allows you to convert them into Idania armors and get some really quick really quick DP by enhancing those Idania armors from base all the way to Pry, Duo, and Try. Getting to Try is pretty easy. It's just time gated into materials there. That's okay. So it's going to be about 200 billies across the board for 4 pieces. That's a lot of money, I know, but it is a grind it is a hurdle you're going to have to cross. Enhancing it is toxic. I tapped 2 tries to Tet within like 7 taps, and then I pitied the helmet. Why did I spend so many resources and waste like over 100 billion? For content, of course. If I imagine I tap that try helmet to Tet within a few taps as well, man, I could make so many people pissed in a YouTube video. Instead, they ended up laughing at me for pitying that. Overall, it averaged out because I got carried on 2 of the pieces, and then one of the pieces I bought cheap when the Tet armors were down low. But ideally, guys, you're gonna want to buy it. You're gonna want to play the long game. Getting to Jordine isn't that big of a deal. It's not going to save you so much time in the future with those Idania, piece of Idanas, okay? So playing the long game, getting a Tet helmet, staying with duos on the others is the first step. Then, by doing the Idania questline, this is going to be turned into an Idania helmet at base, and then you're going to want to save up for Tet armor. So you need a piece of Idana, and you can only convert 1 armor from Tet Slumbering Origin to Idana armor per week. So the first one, your helmet, because you already had to try Slumbering Origin armor for the try Fallen God armor. So that's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be aiming towards the Tet here and the Tet here in order to get to the 427. You can get to 427 by having all tries, but play the long game. You're going to be losing 18 billion silver by reselling 3 of these. And, you know, that could be like, depending on how quickly you grind, that's like 9 hours of effort, 10 hours of effort, depending on where you're at, how quickly you're grinding. You know, could be less, but that's just wasted time, wasted effort. So what you want to do is get the Tet Labresca and a Tet Fallen God armor. That is a long grind, but I think that is the most efficient over the long run. So that'll get you to 427 and you'll be over 350 AP with a setup relative to this. You know, this could be lower, more, but you know, if you, the thing is getting it to at least try is for the, you know, I don't think you get DP here, so that's not going to affect, but you know, even if you're at Pry with this setup, that should be enough, but you want to be over 350, and then this is how you're going to be getting your 427 in order to unlock Jordine. If you decided you're going to stay in Ulukita and just farm silver, that's fine too. You don't have to go down this route, but this is an option. So that's how you're going to get to Jordine. If you wanted to stay at Ulukita and keep grinding AP, that's fine too. All right, let's say you are now finally here. Whether you chose to go the AP route or chose to go for Jordine, that unlocks your weekly, an additional method for weekly easy silver. It's not a bad route. It depends on you. Can you get the DP? It's not efficient to get those tri armors, in my opinion. You can get those tri armors. That's okay. If you say that's the route for you, that's okay. But then think about it. You're taking that loss in order to unlock Jordine. How many weeks of Jordine do you need to make up for that loss? So ideally, I don't think it's going to be worth it. So now let's move on to the next gate. Welcome, Idana. You are now at the gate of Idana. You are past gate number 4 now. At this point, now you're going to start thinking towards your high-end grind spots. You're going to be getting your full Idania armor, and then DP at one point, it's going to be like just capped out. Most people just sit on try Idana armors. That's enough to go and grind at Zephyros. At some point, your DP is going to just simplify. It's just going to be, oh, you got Tet Slumbering Origin armors. They're Idana armors now. Then just round robin Idana upgrades all the way to try, and then you just chill there. What's your real challenge is going to be your accessories and your sovereigns. That shit's expensive. I'm sorry, this is a shitty system. We can't sell these sell these Kharazads. We can't sell these sovereigns. It is a better system than what we used to deal with. Remember back then when there was no pity system for enhancements, where people used to go 50, 75 fails on a pen Blackstar, and each tap was like what, 3,600 cronstone, something like that. It used to be worse. Okay, I know these aren't a very loved system. Kharazads, sovereigns, I don't like them, but I do admit they are better than what we used to deal with. Unfortunately, this is just a hamster wheel of endless grind now that we're going to be running into. That's why I said there are different ways to make money. You don't have to just grind, grind, grind. Do your boss rush, do your party boss rush, do your Ataraxians, do your guild bosses. All those combined, AFK fishing, everything. It's a lot of silver, trillions of silver on a yearly basis just being a casual player. And then throw in 1 hour, 2 hour active gameplay. It lets you get to these higher end areas without these higher end goals without burning yourself out. But yeah, essentially now you're at the point where you want more AP, more AP, more AP. You can go for more Adana armor, the other two Adana armors, but like I said, 200 bill, 200 bill, that's expensive grind. You don't need to get there yet. 427 is more than enough for the time being, and it'll slowly creep up when you have 2 of these and you're enhancing them up to try. Your focus is going to be now AP. So if you get your necklace to Oct, then you can get the other accessories to Sep. Then you can get your Sovereign main hand or your main weapon to Hex. Then you'll have the optional ability. Then you need to progress a little bit more. Notice my AP here. I'm getting you to, with the Idania AP, I'm getting you to the cap of Nymphamare. What is Nymphamare's cap? That is 1690, right? Yeah, 1690. You don't need to go to Nymphamare. Honestly, that's a shitty spot. Its money isn't the greatest. The only reason you'll grind there is for the crystal. It gives you 30 AP and some 30 Idania AP and then some monster DR. Taking that and going into Orbita, you'll be a lot safer than going directly into Orbita. Fuck Orbita. But this is a giga gear score. You don't need this much. You can even start grinding there here at like 1620, 1630 and still clear it at a good pace. But you know, at this point, you might want to go and switch over and do a quick grind. I mean, it's not quick. It's still like 18 to 20 hours unless you get the raw drop. But going out to Idania and grinding Nymphamare Castle for that crystal. Otherwise, you're getting better money at Orzekia and Darkseeker. So to get to this point, once again, your necklace to Nav, then the other accessories to Oct, and your main hand to Sep. So you need to have resistance for Nymphamare. Here's what you're looking at. Where is it? Stun, freezing, stun and stiffness resistance to 100%. So it's a stun. I think that's you're looking for. You get through giants. Am I right? Nymphamare. Yep. Giants. So in the Idania grind spots, every Idania grind spot requires resistance or else it's going to be a miserable grind. I don't recommend grinding without 100% resistance. Sacrifice that AP, get the required crystals there, and you're golden. Also, at this point, you should be thinking about your awakening. By the time you're grinding in Idania, you do want to have a triple sovereign weapons just because of the reforged crystals. These are pretty juicy in terms of the stats they give alone, let alone the additional AP you're getting from having 3 sovereigns. So yeah, you can commit just to staying main hand and sub weapon, but getting that other piece just for the reforged crystals is a pretty big one. Me for sure, I needed damage reduction for for sure with Orbita, but that is something you want to start taking into account. Now let's see what I had here. Right. So as I mentioned earlier, DSR and Orzekia is going to be better for silver, as grinding DSR, that's preferred because you'll be saving up hunger, Origins of Dark Hunger and Devouring. So instead of going and grinding at Nymphamare, or you are doing Nymphamare's weekly quest at the very least, that'll give you end times, you know, that'll help you save up some resources there. And you can work your way towards that crystal, but that's personal preference if you want to get there. Then we need to start looking towards Rusalka. So getting 440 DP is pretty easy in this case. You know, it's just a matter of getting all 4 Adana armors. You know, you just have to, depending on what level your sub weapon is, and then having all 4 Adana armors, even like getting everything to like Pry and Duo is pretty easy. It's just a time gated thing. No, the enhancement rates are really generous in the very beginning, so your overall gear score gets pumped up pretty quick. Main question is going to be your AP. I'd recommend going with BDO workshop recommendations. I think it's going to tell you to get Oct here and then go for Novs for the rest of these. I believe that is the route. So by doing so, you can get to 375 AP and 440 plus DP pretty easily. And even if you have a duo here, you know, even with 3 Idana pieces and a duo still, if you haven't gotten there yet, you should be able to get that. But I'm sure you'll, by this point, you will have your 4 Idania armors. You should ideally have it by then. So that'll get you Rusalka. Rusalka as a weekly boss is pretty good. It gives you a decent amount of money and it gives you 2 pieces of Idana, so it helps your progression a lot better. So you're going twice as fast compared to Jordine. I hate the time gating systems, but that is just what it is. Now let's look at thinking towards Orbita. Orbita is going to be a spot where, let me adjust this back to what I was at. What was I at? There's just so many here. It's so hard for me to just go back and forth. I think I had 1 extra Nav as the belt. Okay. Now, once you're at Rusalka and you're at the AP DP for Rusalka, you ideally want to start thinking towards getting to Orbita. Orbita is going to be one of your 3 endgame grind spots, which gives Giga money. Orbita, however, is very fucking dangerous. That golems slap hard. I died and lost over 6 big crystals there. I have PTSD, but it is a really good grind spot in terms of money, but also XP. So you're going to start thinking towards, hey, maybe I want to start working towards Orbita. With 375 AP plus all of this, you should be at a good spot to get started there. Let me make sure I have the Orbita crystal. We do. So let's see the monster AP caps. Orbita's AP cap is 1800 with 1700 plus your class AP buff, you know, another 30 there. Then using your BSR on the golems and your 3 minutes buff, you can manage with this gear score. Is it going to be comfortable? Not really, but you can definitely manage and work your way towards that crystal here. Honestly, I'd wait till around 380, but some classes are just much more goated and some players are just goated, so they can do it a little bit sooner. But around 380 is when you really want to be at Orbita for sure. So in terms of gear upgrade then, so once you know, you want to get your main hand to Sep, your offhand to Hex, and the rest of these, you're going to start progressing them towards Novs. Use BDO Workshop's recommendation based on the prices in terms of the order. Eventually, you want to get your way to 380 AP. You should have all duo Idania armors by then. To get to 380, your first Kharazad that's going to go to deck is obviously your necklace. So deck, there, definitely an Oct by then here for your main hand. And you can work your way up here. Let's move that. So a Hex offhand plus a few Novs on your Kharazads and a few Octs plus your Oct main hand and your deck necklace. Or if you kept this at Sep, you can get these to Novs too, but I think it's easier to get the Oct to the main hand than getting all the others to Nov first. So yeah, how you're going to cut it, it's going to be dependent on you, what you're tapping in, what the order is going to be based on what the workshop says. Then getting to getting to 384 AP. This is going to be a matter of getting both your Octs right now. This is basically almost at the spot that I'm at. Almost, I say. So getting Ox, 1 deck necklace, and the rest to Novs. And then finally, getting to 389. So 389, this is a toxic number, and they planned this shit. I know it. Because logically, like, from where I'm at, all tri-armors is done. It's easy to get. Getting deck Kharazads, you know, it's annoying, but the enhancement rate isn't that bad. It's like, that's not the best, but it's not terrible. It's realistic to get eventually. And getting to Oct weapons. In order to get to 390, you need to have a Nav on your main weapon. You need a Nav Sovereign in order to get to 390. This part is extremely toxic. I'll show you in the enhancing simulator right now, right? Let's put Sovereign, Staff, put this as Oct. We're tapping for a Nav. Let's say you have a 350 fail stack. You know, let's say, fuck it, 364. It's 1.84% success. Yeah. And that's right, Kenny. For Kafras, yeah. But to get, this is why I view 389 as the soft cap. Because the difference between going for an Oct to going from an Oct to a Nav is pretty drastic. And then going from a Nav to a deck is rough, right? So for that reason, I view this layout here, 389, that is all decks and Oct weapons, as the new soft cap. I think this gear is easy to get. Maybe a little bit more you know, you can probably get to like Tets on the Idania armor, but you don't need it. Because with Tri Idania armor, you should be able to grind at every spot now, pretty much. If you got to this point, guys, I must say, you know, people aren't even going to tell you to go touch grass. They're going to tell grass to touch you. Like, hats off. It took a lot of determination, swiping, or consistency, one of those, in order to get to this point. But it is a very high point. You are at the, you know, near the peak at the very high gear score. So, you know, be proud of how your consistency and your hard work, and it has paid off. But now, progressing from the previous soft cap of 389, this is how it's going to go. First, you're going to get your Nav main hand weapon. So the first thing you're going to do when you're at that point, you're going to get a Nav main hand weapon. Then you're going to get your Hex on your Awakening weapon. Or if you're an Awakening player, vice versa. You'll be getting your Nav on your Awakening and your Hex on your Sovereign main hand. Then you're going to go for Nav on your sub weapon. After that, you're going to go for the Deck on your main hand weapon, Sep on Awakening, Deck on your sub weapon. Then you'll push your Awakening weapon to Oct, Nav, and Deck. In regards to your Idania armor, if you are a PvP player, you might have pushed this sooner, because having high DP in PvP allows you to sacrifice that DP for more alternate stats. However, if not, you really don't need more DP in order to grind at the endgame spots right now. Once again, I'll check Star's End and the new spot that were added, but with Tri Idanias, that should carry you a while. That's why we hold on to our resources, and afterwards you start pumping those resources into your armors, and then just giga boost your gear score with the DP. Now, one thing to call out are the new Alchemy Stones, right? So this is the Splendid version. So they recently added the new system for Alchemy Stones, where doing your Dark Rifts on a weekly basis gives you the material to get the enhancement items for your Alchemy Stones. So these things here, Fate Essence of Aether, you convert them as shown here with using Sharp Black Crystals or Okila Piece of Old Moon. Sharp Black Crystals the way to go usually, I guess. Easiest way. And you're going to use that to enhance your Alchemy Stones. So these are the different Alchemy Stones. They're pretty easy to get from all the way up to this point Resplendent. You know, there are some fail stacks that are pretty easy to hit, take a few weeks if you're not very lucky, and then the real grind is going to be going from Resplendent to Splendid. Now these prices are dropping drastically, so I didn't have a Resplendent ready to go when that system changed, and that's okay. I don't really give a fuck, because like a Resplendent is giving you what, 1% more attack speed. Splendid is more noticeable. You got 3% more attack speed than a Vells Heart. My plan is, when this is cheap enough, I'll just buy the damn thing and then start tapping into Shining. If you are someone who wants to, you know, try to get this as soon as possible instead of waiting, you can get yourself a Resplendent and start tapping that, or you can even get yourself a Sharp and then start tapping that Resplendent and then onwards. It depends on, these are time gated materials. It depends on how long you're willing to wait. I'm okay waiting till I have 200 bill and just buying the damn thing outright. That's okay. That's my choice. Depends on you, what you want to do. But by the time you're at this endgame stage at gate 5, you're going to want to have a Splendid. If you don't, your friends are going to laugh at you. So by the time you are at this last stage, you know, all your decks are done, and this you might get this to a Splendid sooner. It's just RNG. You're just going to be tapping it every week. You get the materials from Dark Rift, and then you just go straight up and tap it. You might get it sooner, you might get it later, but hopefully someday you do get it, and eventually you get Shining. And of course, you just keep pumping up your Idania armors with the time gated piece of Idanas you get every week, and eventually, yeah, you'll push your way through to higher brackets of higher gear score. Right now, this is showing 862. So yeah, 389 was a soft cap. Getting to 390 will allow you to fight Cardian, and getting all your main hand, your main weapon, and your off weapon to deck allows you to fight Caphras at a weekly level. So that'll get you more weekly piece of Idanas and allow you to progress your Idania armor quicker. Once again, Tri-Idana armors are more than enough in order to carry you through a lot of these endgame spots. So you don't really need to push DP. It's going to be a long grind for that main hands and sub weapons and awakening. That about wraps this up, guys. Absolute pain in the ass at this stage, but it's about consistency. You don't have to grind 4 hours a day, 5 hours a day, 6 hours a day anymore in order to be competitive. You just have to be consistent. Grind an hour a day, you know, play actively an hour a day. get your Agris out of the way. If your Agris is always at 0, it's not being wasted. Me, it peaks out at 100k every week because I grind maybe 1 to 2 hours every week, but that's okay. Do your weekly stuff, do your boss rush, do your party boss rush, do your Ataraxians. Make sure you're doing all of those at the very least. You know, it takes 2 to 3 hours to do all of that, and you're getting like over 40 billion silver every week, right? We did the calculations for all the dailies and weekly activities, and we saw in one of my previous streams that even if you just do all the weeklies and you're not doing an hour of grind every day, that's still 1.7 trillion silver with 0 active grinding, you know, in a single year. So when you take all of that into account, when you're taking advantage of all the systems they give us, yes, we do complain about this game being a solo player game, not many party activities, but if you're not even doing party boss rush or Ataraxian with your friends, then you really don't have any reason to complain. First do those, then start complaining. But if you're on top of all that, you can make 2-3 trillion silver without being a giga sweat grinding for 8 hours a day in a single year, and that will get you to this endgame spot. So yes, this looks like it's unachievable. It looks like it's a lot of gear score, a lot of silver to get here, but it is doable. So that is my TED Talk. Thanks for coming, guys. Much appreciated. Thanks for hanging in there all this time. If you enjoyed this video, like, comment, and subscribe. Check me out at twitch.tv/I'mPansy, where I stream every Saturday and Sunday, 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. Central. And yeah, catch you guys with the next one. Peace.